is NBC Palm Springs.
Good evening and thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Sarah Sanchez. Significant progress is being made on the fires burning in Northern California. The SCU and LNU lightning complex fires are both around 70% contained. Combined, they've burned about 765,000 acres. The CZU lightning complex fire is 43% contained. It has burned over 85,000 acres. This fire season, one firefighter was killed, another injured fighting one of 19 major wildfires that are currently burning out of control right now in our state. Now, this fire season is close to surpassing the worst in California's history. We're still a month away from a peak fire season.
We have continued to see year-round firefighting conditions. On average, our fire seasons are several months longer than they were before. But really, December and January, February, we are seeing fires in what would traditionally be winter months.
CAL FIRE is asking everyone to do their part and create a defensible space around their property and be extra careful to not spark fires during this upcoming holiday weekend. Meanwhile, survivors of those fires in Northern California have a long road ahead. Many evacuation orders have been lifted and wildfire assistance centers are now open. The focus is on helping families return to their homes even if they're not standing, and that's where the Red Cross is stepping in to help.
We packed these plastic bins full of tarps and safety masks and 5 pairs of gloves and plastic bags and lip balm, and these will be given away to help people along with shovels and sifters.
Yeah, those sifters are designed to help recover valuables underneath the ash. A majority of Americans say they intend to vote early this year. That's according to a new NBC News poll. That's 52% of voters saying they will vote early. There's a stark difference in voting plans when broken down by party affiliation. 54% of adults who identify as Republican or lean that way say they'll vote in person on Election Day. That's compared to 22% of Democrats. Mail-in ballots for the November 3rd general election will go out to all California registered voters in just under 5 weeks. But the Registrar of Voters says in-person voting is still happening with safety precautions, of course. They're still encouraging vote by mail. Governor Newsom signed an executive order requiring mail-in ballots be available to all registered voters across the state.
Coronavirus coverage brought to you by East Valley COVID-19 testing site, serving residents of eastern Coachella Valley.
New guidelines are released on who should get a coronavirus vaccine first in the U.S. A federal committee released a draft proposal for vaccine distribution in the U.S. The group says the vaccine should be distributed in these 4 phases. They're on your screen, and you can check out where you fall in that list. A global survey shows 74% of people are willing to get a coronavirus vaccine, but experts say that number isn't high enough to stop the infection from spreading. In the U.S., the most common concern is the possibility of side effects.
3, 2, 1.
Experts are weighing in yet again on how effective your mask is. A new study says face shields alone are not effective at stopping the spread, as we can see in this demonstration. Researchers found droplets were able to move around the visor with relative ease and spread out over a large area. The scientists repeated the demonstration with an N95 rated face mask, those masks with valves. And the same thing happened. They say well-constructed, high-quality cloth or surgical masks might be the most effective. And with those new recommendations from the CDC, 2 casinos are now taking action here locally. These are some of the first local large businesses to tighten their face covering rules. These casinos will only now allow traditional masks. Olivia Sandusky has the story.
Planning to hit the slots over Labor Day weekend? Check the casino's mask requirement first. Pechanga and Augustine have updated their policy.
So this is not reactive to anything that's happened within the casino. We continually monitor updates to CDC's guidelines around COVID and how it can spread, and we just make adjustments to our policy.
In both casinos, neck gaiters and bandanas are no longer allowed. Neither are masks with vents or valves, and Riverside County Public Health says these options are less effective than traditional masks.
With a vent, smaller particles could potentially enter through that vent. Bandanas and gaiters are not as effective as stopping smaller droplets.
Now the 2 casinos require cloth or surgical masks like N95s, which were previously discouraged.
At this stage in the pandemic, it is easier to obtain surgical masks. They are more effective at stopping the droplets. If members of the public can purchase those, that's certainly fine to do so.
Larger crowds are anticipated for the holiday weekend, and Augustine Casino says the new policy is mandatory for all guests and staff.
So if someone's uncomfortable wearing a mask, unfortunately, this is not a place where they should come. And if someone, again, has the wrong sort of mask, we'll definitely help them out and give them a mask when they come inside.
And Riverside County Health says they appreciate businesses who take the mask mandate seriously.
We encourage and thank our business community for making sure that their employees and their customers are safe.
Olivia Sandusky, NBC Palm Springs.
And another new survey finds nurses are still reusing personal protective equipment because of a shortage. The nurses say N95 masks are in short supply, so they have to be reused, even though that's just not safe. Nurses say shortages have worsened or stayed the same since May. We're taking a live look now at our Agua Caliente Casino cam out there tonight. Looks like it's moving around a little bit. That means it's probably windy. NBC Palm Springs Chief Meteorologist Mike Everett has a look at the conditions out there because some of us don't leave the building during their dinner break. Mike!
The only sense of the outdoors that we get are from the outdoor cameras. We are taking a live look at some of those winds that are blowing along the I-10 corridor tonight. Fully welcome, fully ventilating, helping us dry and therefore cool overnight tonight. That should set us down in the low 80s on Wednesday morning. We'll talk about that more in a moment. You may be asking yourself, why is the weather guy showing us this big empty map of the West Coast? Well, it has a lot to do with our weather story right now. A ridge of high pressure is about to set up over top of the entire Southwest that is taking any weather that's coming in off of the Pacific and diverting it well around us. I'll use infrared to show you that during the full forecast. But what I want you to know is this, is when the weather guy pushes the button, look at what happens here. We got watches and warnings lighting up all the way up and down the entire state here. What that is this is an excessive heat watch. That will be upgraded to an excessive heat warning for many of us, including the Coachella Valley on Wednesday. This is going to be a long duration once again and very hot. Basically, a lot of places, literally up in the Pacific Northwest and even out towards Idaho and parts of the Midwest there, we'll see some temperatures that will break records by a long shot this weekend. Looks like we're set to do that as well. I'll tell you more about that coming up. Looks like it's going to be Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, and it's also the Labor Day weekend. The timing is not great on this. Take a look outside right now. There's that wind that's giving us that camera rock, coming in steady about 15 to 20 miles an hour through most of the evening tonight. Gusts getting up to about 25 miles an hour there. Humidity sitting at 28%. Not bad. What I'm really impressed by is temperatures in the low 90s this time of night. That will be a thing of the past in about another 5 days or so. If you haven't noticed it, there is a big, beautiful moon out there. And this one is a very interesting one. It's right before the harvest moon, right? Because we're just right on the edge of harvest season here. So the nicknames for it are the corn moon, the fruit moon, and my favorite, the barley moon. It's beer making season in many spots, especially towards Germany and Belgium right now. It's going to be appearing to be full. In fact, it looked full last night. It's definitely full tonight. In fact, it's peaking right now, and it will continue to stay looking full tomorrow night, and then we'll start to make that waning phase. Next 3 days brought to you by Comfort Air. 109 on Wednesday. That'll be our last sub 110 day for a good long while, and those overnight lows will bounce down into the lower 80s, and then it's just all about heat. We go into the 110s on Thursday and Friday, and it just gets hotter from there, and look at those overnights getting into the lower 80s. Stick around for a few minutes. Coming up on my full forecast, we're going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to show you all the numbers from meteorological summer and explain to you what meteorological summer is coming up.
All right. Thank you, Mike. Coming up, if you want to call an Uber here pretty soon, a new feature is requiring you send in a selfie before you do so, and we'll explain.
You guys are so violent. You Africans are so violent.
What was meant to be just a nice day at the beach, 3 women say instead a woman went on a racist rant towards them. We'll have a look at what happened next. The man shot and killed yesterday in South Los Angeles by sheriff's deputies has now been identified as Dejan Kazee. The shooting has led to a second night of peaceful protests and a gathering at a memorial. You can see at the site of the shooting people gathering. Deputies tried to stop him for a code violation while he was riding his bike. Deputies say he punched one of them and they say he then dropped a gun. That's when he was shot. Now, the family's attorney says Kazee was shot 20 times in the back. Another racist rant caught on camera. A group of friends out for a morning run say a woman started screaming at them for no reason and called the cops. Lori Perez has more.
You guys are so violent. You know, Africans are so violent.
Another shocking confrontation caught on camera, this time along Dockweiler State Beach, when these three friends on the regular Sunday morning run say this woman called them the N-word out of nowhere as they crossed paths.
You called me?
You're an African.
So an African is?
You're trying to put words in my mouth.
She said, Black lives don't matter. Your life doesn't matter. You need to go back to Africa. She said, I'll get you the cheapest flight back to Africa.
Stunned, scared, and feeling threatened, the trio says they confronted her when they passed again, saying she and her hateful speech needed to be exposed. That's when they say she really lost it, calling police with what they say was a false report of being assaulted.
Yes, I need a paramedic. I need an ambulance. My environment has been harmed by this African Black person.
The women say they've been even more on alert these past few years, aware of the tense climate in this country. But bracing for an attack and facing one are two different things. And tonight, they are tired.
I think for all of us, this direct attack, in our face has never happened before. And it was a good reminder of that this does happen and it is right there in our faces. What we're hoping to leave people with is just that encouragement to confront the hate and racism that they see in their inner circles. And it's unfortunate that people still feel this way, but I do think that it can't be on people of color alone to fix.
Lori Perez reporting. In a historic first, member of the Kennedy family has lost an election in Massachusetts. Incumbent Ed Markey has beat Representative Joe Kennedy in the state's Democratic Senate primary. The 39-year-old Kennedy is the grandson of former Attorney General Robert Kennedy. Former President John Kennedy and late Senator Ted Kennedy were his great uncles. Kennedy initially led in the polls, but Markey turned the race around by backing more progressive causes. Breonna Taylor's boyfriend files a lawsuit against the Louisville Police Department. Police broke into Taylor's apartment on March 13th without announcing who they were. That's according to Kenneth Walker, Taylor's boyfriend. Walker was initially charged with attempted murder of a police officer, but that was dropped because one officer was shot. But the theory now is that the officer may have been hit by friendly fire. Walker says he's a legal gun owner who did nothing wrong and is a victim of police misconduct. The Fort Hood Post Commander has been removed from his top position, but will still stay on in another role. The military base in Texas has been plagued by a series of tragic incidents lately. 2 soldiers, including Specialist Vanessa Guillen, seen here, went missing only to have their bodies discovered later. Also, soldiers assigned to the base were arrested in a prostitution sting, and a number of soldiers have recently died by suicide. The Army has ordered an investigation into the chain of command. Texas officials and the U.S. Coast Guard are working to shut down a natural gas platform rig that has been leaking since this morning. It's about 2 miles offshore. Witnesses say they heard loud noises similar to a jet engine and then saw smoke, but the cause of what's happening remains unknown. Florida health officials say they're cutting ties with Quest Diagnostics after massive COVID testing delays. Quest reportedly had a backlog of nearly 75,000 results, some dating back to April. In a statement, Quest blamed the delay on a technical issue and says it's been resolved. The Florida Department of Health says the dump is just a data issue. Plenty of news still ahead because Mike has a look at our forecast. He's got a lot of numbers and stats to run by us, and I'm pretty excited.
Absolutely, I do. Meteorological summer came to an end yesterday. Today's the first day of meteorological fall. We're taking a look at downtown Palm Springs right now, courtesy of your Agua Caliente Casino. Things fairly quiet out there and relatively cool for now. They're about to heat up in a big way this weekend. We'll take a look when we come back. Welcome back. Well, here's another part of the Coachella Valley that's wonderful. This is Rancho Mirage and 111. There's some life happening there right now, making a right turn. Very nice, slow, safe, use the signal, well played. Walter Clark Cam brought us this. Here's what we're taking a look at as we go into the first day of meteorological fall. I'll tell you what it means in just a moment there. Here's where we bottomed out. 108 was our official high today. 104 is the 30-year average, so some quick math telling you we were 4 degrees above average there. It's still possible to hit 121 this time of year. We did it back in 1950. In the overnights last night, remember yesterday was a very muggy day, but then that ventilating wind came in and really dried us out, allowed us to get into the upper 70s overnight. It was a very nice start to the day, just 2 degrees above average there. That is all about to change. As I was mentioning earlier, see that big orange H there? Well, that was sitting over the Pacific this weekend, and then this ridge of high pressure just decided to set up shop basically over top of Nevada, and that does not bode well for us. In fact, the entire West Coast is about to get really hot. The jet stream is going to take a vacation up into Washington and parts of British Columbia there, and everybody you see in this rose color here will run about 6 to 12 degrees above normal all weekend long. The big issue here is the high fire danger. Sarah was telling you earlier this evening that many of the fires that we've been fighting in Central and Northern California are under control now, or at least getting some containment on them. And now we're going into this weekend where things are going to really heat up and dry out, and that is going to pose another challenge for the folks at CAL FIRE. So here's what we're looking at this weekend. Could we break some records? Yeah, we could break some records. Palm Springs and thermal become very popular this time of year when we're talking about extreme heat. 118 is our forecasted high for both Saturday and Sunday at Palm Springs International. You can see the old records are well below that. Thermal's in the same boat. 118 is what we're expecting Saturday, 117 on Sunday. Well, 115 are both of the records. And once again, we didn't have to go very far back to find those records. 2008 for Saturday, 2018 for Sunday. So while we're on the topic, meteorological summer is June, July, and August. I'll tell you more about that in a moment. The number of times that we were 110 or more was 52 during that period. Out of 92 days, we were above 110 52 times. Days that were 120 or more were 3, and days that broke records were 6. We actually had some overnight heat records as well. Unfortunately, I couldn't find that data. And the hottest day of the summer so far was 122 degrees back on July 31st. All-time record for Palm Springs International is 123, so we definitely pushed it. So what is meteorological summer? Well, just for the purpose of keeping records, folks in climatology just say, look, we're going to make it June, July, and August. June 1st through August 31st, because astronomical seasons, like the typical ones that we talk about, are inconsistent. It all has to do with seasons are based on our rotation around the sun. Well, it takes us 365 and a quarter days to do that. That's why we have a leap year every 4 years. So because that's inconsistent, a season can be anywhere from 89 to 93 days when you're doing it on the astronomical chart. So in the meteorology world, we're just simple. June, July, and August, and that's what all of that data was based off of. Been getting a lot of questions lately about the last time it rained. Well, it's a real simple answer. It's been 142 days since we've had any measurable rain. Now, back on June 5th, we did have a trace amount, but that doesn't count. So April 11th is the last time we had anything measurable, a whopping 1/100th of an inch. But that's not really fair, because for 5 days, from April 6th to 11th, we actually had measurable rain each day, and that totaled up to about 109. So if you take a look at the grand total, we're running at 3.6 for the year. That's actually slightly above average. Some good news for you. This time last year we had well over 6 inches, but we got 3 on Valentine's Day, so that doesn't count either. If you didn't like any of those numbers, well, how's this one? 21 days until the autumnal equinox, and then we can all agree that it's fall. If you missed any of that or you want to see it again, stop by my Facebook page, click the like button, and take a look at all that data. You can nerd out with me. Your Comfort Air 7-day forecast is showing heat headed our way this weekend. There's those 118 Saturday and Sunday overnight lows in the 90s. Starts to back off on Labor Day, and don't forget, starting Tuesday, can't wear white.
Uber says it will soon require some riders to take mask selfies. Since May, drivers have had to take selfies to verify they're wearing a mask before picking up riders. But now Uber says passengers who have previously been reported must now take a selfie for mask verification. Now, if a passenger's ride goes smoothly, they will not have to take a selfie next time. For both drivers and riders, repeated violations could lead to deactivation of their accounts. Zoom reports its revenue more than quadrupled from April to June. Seems pretty obvious why. The video conferencing company's profit was also up more than 3,000% from this same time last year. Many businesses are paying Zoom now so that they can have corporate meetings while people work from home. Zoom is also being used for social hangouts and, of course, for students in virtual classrooms. Walmart is getting ready to launch Walmart Plus, a new membership program, and the program is expected to include unlimited free delivery on orders $35 or more. Customers will have the option of same-day deliveries also on thousands of items. The program will cost $98 a year or $12.95 a month, which is quite similar to Amazon Prime. We'll be right back.
Welcome back. Time now for a look at your NBC Palm Springs sports headlines. President Trump commented on his telephone conversation with Big Ten Commissioner Kevin Warren this morning. The two men talked about what would need to happen to get the conference back to playing football. The conference announced August 11th that it would postpone its fall sports, including football, out of concern over the spread of coronavirus. The NFL releases their latest COVID-19 testing numbers ahead of the season starting next week. 10 new positives, 4 players and 6 team personnel. That's out of over 58,000 tests. Now, anyone who tests positive will immediately be placed into the league's treatment protocol. The Chiefs host the Texans in the opener next Thursday, September 10th, right here on NBC Palm Springs. Coming off a Super Bowl winning season, the Kansas City Chiefs are rewarding their coach and GM. The Chiefs are reportedly finalizing 6-year contract extensions with head coach Andy Reid and general manager Brett Veach. The two men will be under contract with the organization through 2025 under their new deals. Star quarterback Patrick Mahomes indicated that Reid's presence was a big factor in him signing his historic contract extension with the Chiefs this summer. Mahomes signed a 10-year extension extension worth a total of, wait for it, $500 million. Philadelphia sports teams are offering up their venues as voting centers for the elections this November. The owner and operator of the Wells Fargo Center, Comcast Spectator, has offered the arena for the city's use. Wells Fargo Arena is home of the NBA's Philadelphia 76ers and the NHL's Philadelphia Flyers. Previously, Philadelphia Eagles owner Jeffrey Lurie had offered Lincoln Financial Field as a polling place. City officials say they've already worked out more convenient locations, but voters are appreciative of knowing that those facilities are available if needed in the future. Game 7 between the Utah Jazz and the Denver Nuggets, and it came down to a crazy sequence at the finish. Let's go to Orlando. Under 15 seconds to go, Utah with the ball, down by 2, but Denver's Gary Harris forces the steal. Now Denver's pushing it up, and Torrey Craig misses a lay-in that would have sealed things with 4 seconds to go. The Jazz race up court with a chance to win. Mike Conley's three-pointer at the buzzer is off the rim. Denver survives with an 80-78 victory. The Nuggets move on to face the LA Clippers next. That's going to do it for sports. We'll be right back.
Okay, you've been making this joke all night about the Labor Day, wearing white. We've been getting angry calls, angry emails all night about it. Not really. But I just want to know why.
So it's kind of an old traditional thing that fashionistas used to say that you couldn't wear white after Labor Day.
Yeah.
Now, I think that really only applies in places like New York City where they have more defined seasons, you know, and it's considered
people
gauche.
Probably care. We're a little more relaxed in California. Yeah, I know the rule, but it's funny. The only one I know who ever followed that was our old Olivia Garvey. Remember her?
True.
She followed it. Good night.